Most people think respect is given. It isn't. It's extracted, pulled from their instincts before they even realize they've submitted. The ones who command respect don't speak louder. They move differently. Their eyes linger half a second too long. Their silences feel like judgment. Their presence rearranges the room, not with charm, but with gravity. Respect begins when people start censoring themselves around you. When they rehearse their tone, their words, their reactions. Because something in you feels like consequence. That's what Machiavelli understood. Authority isn't built by demanding reverence. It's built by controlling emotion, by making people feel they're in the presence of something greater, even when they can't explain why. You're not trying to be liked. You're trying to be felt, to stand so still, so sure, that others mistake composure for power. This is not charisma. This is command. And once you master it, they'll call it respect, but it's really submission, disguised as admiration. Before a single word leaves your mouth, your body has already spoken 100. Most people destroy their aura the moment they move. Every fidget, every nervous twitch, every misplaced smile bleeds out power. Respect begins where movement ends. The great rulers of history understood this. Command is physical before it is verbal. You must learn to speak through posture, through stillness, through the economy of motion. Because the body that moves with purpose tells the world, I am not reacting to you. You are reacting to me. The first rule of physical authority is deliberate stillness. Stillness unnerves people. It disrupts rhythm. When everyone else gestures wildly, laughs too loud, or fills silence with words, you must hold your ground like a statue carved from intent. Stillness is not laziness. It is precision. Each movement must feel expensive. If you lift your hand, do it as though it costs you something. If you turn your head, do it slowly, with control. Every deliberate motion becomes a declaration. I decide when things move. The second rule, command space. Powerful men never shrink themselves to fit the room. They expand, not through arrogance, but through composure. When you stand, own your ground. Shoulders back, chin level, chest open, feet firm. The body must look anchored, immovable. When you sit, do not fidget or fold inward. Sit like a king who doesn't ask for permission to exist. Your posture is not decoration. It's a broadcast. The human brain reads open posture as dominance, closed posture as submission. Every inch you compress is an inch of respect you surrender. The third rule of authority, the calculated gaze. Your eyes must not wander like prey. They must select. When you look at someone, hold it long enough for discomfort to set in. Then release it just before it becomes challenge. The goal is to make them aware they've been seen, measured, not attacked. Eye contact, when mastered, becomes a leash. People start regulating their behavior under your gaze. They adjust their tone, correct their words, align themselves unconsciously to your perceived standards. But here's the deeper secret. Power lies not only in how you look at others, but in how you look away. Weak men look down when uncertain. Strong men look through, as if their focus extends beyond the moment. That subtle detachment tells the world your attention cannot be owned. The moment your gaze moves on, you teach everyone present that your interest is a privilege. Fourth rule, the voice that commands without volume. Loud men are rarely respected, only tolerated. Your power is in control, not chaos. Speak slower than you think. Drop your tones slightly lower than normal. Deep tones signal calm, and calm signals certainty. Enunciate every word as if it were law. Silence between sentences is not emptiness. It's a weapon. When you pause, they lean in. They anticipate your next move. The longer they wait for your words, the more value they assign to them. The voice of authority does not rush. It decides when sound returns to the air. Fifth, facial discipline. Your face must be a mask, not a confession. The world reads emotion instantly. A flicker of irritation, an uncontrolled smile, or a raised eyebrow can expose everything. Machiavellian mastery means your face reveals nothing without intent. Practice the art of neutral expression. Your resting face should suggest composure, not coldness, a balance between indifference and awareness. The unreadable face creates an atmosphere of control. People can't predict what you think, so they behave carefully to avoid being wrong. Sixth, controlled proximity. How close you stand to others dictates hierarchy. Stand too far, you look weak. Too close, you look desperate. The sweet spot is just close enough that they feel your presence, just distant enough that you could walk away at any moment. That tension, the possibility of distance, is what maintains respect. The powerful never cling. They orbit. And finally, ritualize your exits. The way you leave is the punctuation mark of your presence. Never linger. When the conversation is done, end it with precision. A nod, a brief silence, a turn, and gone. Leave people in mid-thought. Force them to feel your absence. The respect you leave behind is stronger than anything you said. Understand this. Your body is not decoration. It is a throne. Every gesture must remind the world that you are not in it to blend. You are there to set tone. Every step, every breath, every movement must feel intentional. Because when you move with intention, others move with permission. The great mistake of ordinary men is to seek respect through performance. The powerful don't perform, they project. Your silence is not emptiness. It is the room recalibrating itself to you. Every form of respect is born from a seed of fear. The world may dress it in politeness, admiration, or love. But beneath all of it lies a single truth. People respect what they fear losing. Whether it's approval, opportunity, or comfort. It's all fear, wrapped in civility. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He wrote that love is voluntary, but fear is permanent. To command instant respect, you must understand how to control that fear. Not through threats, but through emotional gravity. Emotional gravity is the invisible pressure your presence exerts. It's not created by shouting or dominance. It's created when people realize that disappointing you feels dangerous. When silence from you feels heavier than anger from anyone else. That's the essence of respect. Not fear of what you'll do, but fear of what you'll withdraw. Start by mastering emotional detachment. You must be able to pull back completely, without visible frustration. When people sense that your emotions are not easily accessible, they become cautious. The unknown is always more powerful than the obvious. Anger can be measured, silence cannot. And that uncertainty keeps them small. You must train yourself to look indifferent when others crave reaction. Someone disrespects you. You don't argue, you observe. Someone tries to provoke you. You don't raise your voice. You smile faintly. That restraint creates a psychological imbalance. They expect chaos, and you give them calm. That calm feels unnatural. It disturbs them. They begin to wonder what you're capable of. That's the first layer of emotional gravity, composure under tension. The second is selective emotion. You reveal warmth rarely, but precisely. Respect deepens when people realize your approval is scarce. When you finally show appreciation, it feels like sunlight breaking through a storm. People remember it, crave it, chase it again. You have turned your emotion into currency. Every time you respond emotionally, you spend power. Every time you remain composed, you accumulate it. Power is the discipline of reaction. The less reactive you are, the more others react to you. The third layer of emotional gravity is controlled distance. Most men fear distance. They think it makes them irrelevant. But distance is what makes your value measurable. Familiarity dissolves fear. Scarcity solidifies it. When people can reach you easily, they begin to see you as ordinary. But when your time, attention, and words are limited, they feel precious, and precious things are handled with respect. Withdraw strategically. Appear when the impact will be highest. Leave before you're fully understood. The less predictable your presence, the more powerful your aura. People will fill in the blanks with their own imagination, and imagination is always louder than truth. Now remember this, fear and respect are two sides of the same coin, but they must be balanced. Too much fear breeds rebellion. Too much warmth breeds weakness. Your goal is to hover perfectly between both, admired but slightly feared. That's the magnetic line that leaders, kings, and manipulators walk. To maintain that line, you must become fluent in psychological silence. Psychological silence isn't just not talking. It's making people think in your pauses. When someone speaks to you, let them finish, then wait. Let the silence stretch. Let them start to question themselves. That pause isn't empty. It's domination in disguise. People fill silence with insecurity. They begin to self-correct, to explain, to justify. You've made them bend without saying a word. Another technique of emotional gravity is measured contradiction. Occasionally, surprise people by reacting in ways that defy their expectations, respond to anger with amusement, to flattery with indifference, to gossip with stillness. Each time you do, you scramble their understanding of you. Confusion leads to caution. Caution leads to respect. You must also manage your tone like a weapon. A calm voice under pressure is more terrifying than shouting. The absence of emotional escalation communicates mastery, as if you already know the outcome and have no need to prove it. People interpret calm as certainty, and certainty is the shape of authority. Finally, practice emotional amnesia. Never hold grudges openly. Let offenses dissolve into silence. When people expect revenge and you give them indifference, you elevate yourself above the emotional battlefield. That restraint unsettles them more than vengeance ever could. Revenge satisfies ego. Indifference builds legend. Understand this. You are not trying to make people afraid of you. You are making them afraid to lose you. Your respect, your approval, your silence, these must become things people feel they can't afford to lose. When they start protecting your perception of them, you've won. They will self-regulate to keep your image of them intact. The world is addicted to noise. Everywhere you look, people scream for attention, drowning in their own echoes, desperate to be seen, desperate to be heard, desperate to matter. And yet, the ones who are truly seen, the ones who command a room with a glance, are the quietest. Their power doesn't come from presence alone. It comes from rarity. Rarity is the purest form of power. What is always available loses its worth. What is scarce becomes sacred. You must learn to become scarce, not absent, selectively present. Because when something cannot be accessed at will, people begin to value it. When they don't know when they'll see you again, they think about you twice as long. That's how you build aura. Not by flooding the world with yourself, but by rationing your existence. The first rule of rarity is this: make them wait. You must teach people that your time cannot be summoned. Whether it's a meeting, a reply, or your attention, never deliver instantly. The delay is not disrespect, it's dominance. Each second they wait adds weight to your eventual appearance. The longer they anticipate, the more significance they assign to you. You are conditioning them to equate patience with privilege. Every king in history understood this. The throne was never approached casually. When people had to wait to be in the ruler's presence, the waiting itself became worship. You don't have to wear a crown. You just have to act like one. Be the person whose time is expensive, whose energy is rare, whose attention must be earned. The second rule of rarity: never explain your absence. Disappearing without justification is not rudeness, it's strategy. When you vanish, you create questions. Questions breed curiosity. Curiosity breeds myth. When you always explain, you dissolve the magic. Mystery dies in clarity. You must learn to leave people wondering what you're doing, where you are, and why you don't need them. That quiet distance turns ordinary presence into fascination. The third rule: choose your moments of visibility. When you appear too often, you blend into the background. But if you show up when it matters, at the right moment, in full control, you hijack attention effortlessly. The timing of your presence must feel like fate. When you appear, it should feel deliberate. When you vanish, it should feel punishing. This rhythm creates dependency. People begin to crave your reappearance because you've trained them to associate your presence with significance. Understand this. People don't miss people. They miss impact. They miss how they felt when you were around. So when you are there, be fully there. Speak less, mean more, move slower, decide faster. Create an atmosphere that imprints itself in memory. When you leave, they should feel like something irreplaceable just exited the room. That absence will work harder for your respect than your presence ever could. Fourth rule: speak rarely, but decisively. The more words you use, the cheaper your voice becomes. You must train yourself to be comfortable with silence, to let others fill it, to let them interpret it. And when you finally speak, every word should feel measured, like each syllable costs something. People respect what feels expensive. They chase what feels exclusive. Your voice, your time, your energy. These are currencies. Waste none of them. Fifth, control your exposure. In a world that rewards oversharing, your restraint becomes rebellion. Do not let people know every detail of your life, your plans, or your emotions. The moment you become transparent, you become predictable. And predictability kills respect. Let people see only fragments, glimpses of what you want them to see. When they can't define you, they overestimate you. When they can't predict you, they fear disappointing you. You must remember this law. The rarer something is, the more power it has over those who desire it. It's not charisma that makes people respect you. It's your absence of desperation. Desperation is loud. Dignity is silent. Dignity says, you may want me, but you will not own me. Rarity is self-control disguised as mystery. And it terrifies people because it reminds them how easily they give themselves away, how cheaply they trade their time, how quickly they explain, how loudly they beg to be noticed. But not you. You move like someone who knows his worth. You disappear without warning. You return without explanation. You speak only when there's reason. You make your silence a throne. And soon, they'll start whispering, where is he? What does he think? Why doesn't he answer? That's when you know you've succeeded. You've transformed scarcity into domination. Your name becomes a presence even when you're gone. Respect doesn't follow those who beg to be seen. It follows those who know that sometimes the most powerful move is to vanish. Power gained through fear collapses when the fear fades. But power built on aura, on the silent architecture of respect, survives even when you're not present. This is the shadow crown, the kind of dominance that rules without ruling, that leads without needing to command. It's the final stage of Machiavellian mastery, when people adjust their behavior not because you told them to, but because your image lives inside their mind. The first law of the shadow crown is consistency of control. Power decays when behavior fluctuates. If one day you are composed and the next emotional, people stop believing the illusion. Respect dies the moment predictability fades. You must become a constant. Calm when praised, calm when insulted, calm when ignored. The steadiness of your demeanor tells the world you are untouchable, that your emotions are not public property. Consistency is psychological armor. People stop testing what never cracks. The second law, never over-explain. Every word you add to justify yourself chips away at authority. The powerful never defend their image. They let silence defend it. Silence forces people to create their own explanations, and they almost always choose the one that benefits your mystique. When you correct rumors, you sound insecure. When you let them grow, you sound dangerous. Power isn't about proving truth. It's about shaping perception. Let them think what they want. You're winning either way. The third law of maintaining authority: control reward and withdrawal. People's respect deepens when they realize that your approval cannot be bought. Be generous when it serves you, distant when it doesn't. When someone pleases you, acknowledge it briefly, never excessively. Too much gratitude lowers your rank. Too little gratitude breeds resentment. You must give just enough to make loyalty feel seen, then retreat fast enough to make it feel earned. But when someone disrespects you, never argue, never explain, never warn. Withdraw completely. Absence is the cleanest punishment. Let them feel the vacuum you leave behind. When your presence is valuable, your disappearance becomes a consequence sharper than words. The silent exile forces them to confront a truth, that you can exist without them, but they cannot feel significant without you. The fourth law, strategic unpredictability. Predictable power becomes furniture, respected at first, then ignored. You must occasionally shatter expectations to remind the world that your control is choice, not habit. Be generous, then cold. Approachable, then unreachable. One day, reveal interest. The next, vanish. This rhythm of inconsistency keeps everyone alert. They never know whether they'll receive warmth or distance, and so they treat you carefully. Unpredictability creates anticipation, and anticipation breeds obedience. The fifth law, delegated influence. True rulers rarely act directly. They rule through the ripple of their approval. When your name carries weight, you don't need to lift your own hand. Others do it for you. This is what separates mere confidence from control. A man with confidence walks tall. A man with control makes others adjust their posture when he enters. Build small networks of loyalty, people who echo your tone, your silence, your composure. Let them spread your energy through imitation. When your manner becomes contagious, your presence becomes immortal. The sixth law, emotional indifference. Power invites envy, and envy breeds attacks. When they whisper, let them. When they mock, let them. Every reaction you give feeds their cause. Indifference is your invisibility cloak. The moment people realize they can't offend you, they stop trying. Mockery starves when it meets no emotion. You must learn to let the world's noise pass through you, like wind through armor. People may misunderstand you, even hate you, but hatred dies in silence, and silence is the graveyard of lesser men's opinions. The seventh law, become the reference point. When people begin to ask themselves, "What would you think?" before acting, you've transcended influence. You've become standard. That's what the shadow crown is. When your aura governs, even in your absence. When your opinion, your rhythm, your approval becomes the unseen metric that others measure themselves against. You are no longer just respected, you are calibrated too. And once you've reached that level, no rebellion can truly unseat you, because your rule is no longer external, it's psychological. Machiavelli wrote that it's safer to be feared than loved. But what he didn't say, what he implied between the lines, is that the highest form of power is to be believed in without effort. To make others want your approval so deeply, they build their own prisons of loyalty. That is the shadow crown, quiet, permanent, unquestioned. So remember this, the real kings don't shout, they don't beg, they don't explain, they build gravity. And gravity doesn't need to announce itself. Power doesn't begin with what you do. It begins with how you exist. Most people never understand this. They chase techniques, tricks, and words, all noise meant to compensate for their lack of gravity. Respect doesn't follow action, it follows weight. The invisible density of someone who doesn't need to prove a thing. Your first weapon is stillness, not the weak kind that looks like passivity, but the deliberate, surgical kind that unsettles people. Most men move too much, talk too much, smile too much. Every gesture becomes a confession. Please like me. But the ones who command respect have learned to move as if the world is already orbiting them. Stand like consequence. Move slowly, precisely, as if every second costs something. When you enter a room, don't scan for faces. Scan for angles. Don't search for comfort. Search for control. Take your time to sit, to speak, to react. That pause, that unhurried rhythm, rewires the room's behavior. People start slowing down around you. That's your first proof of power. Respect begins when people start adjusting themselves to your energy. They lower their voices, fix their posture, choose their words carefully. They don't even realize it, but their biology obeys your composure. The animal brain reads your calm as dominance. It's instinct, primitive, unavoidable. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He wrote of rulers who commanded armies without lifting a sword, not because of what they said, but because of what their presence suggested. Here's the brutal truth. You don't need to impress people to make them respect you. You need to make them unsure. When they can't read your next move, they hesitate. And in hesitation, power transfers. Control belongs to the one who can wait longer, who reacts slower, who doesn't reveal where his emotions live. You must learn to turn neutrality into a weapon. When someone provokes you, do not blink, do not frown. Let silence answer for you. Silence makes people negotiate with themselves. They'll fill in your meaning with their own fear, and that fear becomes reverence when you choose not to break it. Your silence is not emptiness. It's a mirror that forces others to see their weakness. Your second weapon is detachment. Respect dies where need begins. The moment you need someone's approval, you give them authority over you. Detachment is not disinterest. It's control over desire. You must learn to want nothing publicly, even when you want everything privately. That's what keeps you unpredictable. When you speak, use fewer words. Precision intimidates. People who ramble are trying to sell their point. Those who command speak as if decisions have already been made. Every sentence should sound final, not persuasive. Never explain more than necessary. Explanation is for those defending themselves, not for those defining reality. Watch how the powerful operate. They don't react to insults. They act as if insults don't reach their altitude. They don't rush to prove worth. Their worth is assumed. That's what you're building, an assumption. Aura is the art of controlling what people assume about you. Your third weapon is presence density. When you enter a space, you must compress the air, make people feel something shift even before you speak. That comes from discipline. The aura of respect is not energy, it's restraint. It's years of controlled emotion, held posture, and unbroken eye contact. The more disciplined your body, the heavier your presence. Your walk, your tone, your gaze. They must all say one thing. I'm not here to participate. I'm here to be noticed. Not with noise, but with inevitability. You must look like someone who knows what he'll become. And everyone else is just waiting to find out. This is the law of presence. People won't respect you because you ask for it. They'll respect you because something in you feels like risk. Like the wrong word might cost them something. Like disappointing you might close a door they didn't even know existed. That is how you begin to manufacture respect. Not by demanding it, but by becoming a condition others must adapt to. Be still. Be unreadable. Be scarce. And watch how quickly the loudest people fall silent in your presence. Because in the game of power, it's not the one who speaks the most who wins. It's the one who makes others measure every word they say around him. Respect. It's not a word anymore. It's a presence, a temperature, a pressure that follows you into every room. If you've come this far, you already understand. Power doesn't shout. It radiates. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It bends reality until noticing becomes instinct. Now comes the final transformation, the one most never reach. The point where you no longer act powerful, you simply are. You've learned stillness. You've mastered silence. You've made absence a weapon and composure your armor. But the ultimate Machiavellian secret is this. Stop performing power and start embodying inevitability. People fear what feels inevitable. The storm, the sunset, the tide. These don't argue, don't chase, don't explain. They happen. That's the final form of respect. When your presence no longer feels like choice, but like law. To reach this level, you must destroy the last weakness that binds ordinary men. Validation. Validation is dependence dressed as confidence. The moment you seek it, you hand over your crown. The Machiavellian doesn't crave praise or agreement. He measures himself by precision. He doesn't ask, do they respect me? He knows they do because they adjust themselves every time he moves. Every step you take from now on must be deliberate. Your tone, measured. Your time, scarce. Your eyes, unflinching. You must carry yourself as if every room you walk into was built to test you, and you've already passed. That is what people feel when true authority arrives. A presence that doesn't need introduction. Understand this. Respect isn't what people give you. It's what they withhold from everyone else because of you. When you speak, others fall silent. When you stand, others shift. When you disappear, they notice the space you once filled. That is aura, when absence speaks louder than presence. Machiavelli once wrote that fortune favors the bold, but what he meant was deeper. Fortune obeys the composed. The man who can hold his ground while others scramble will always control the narrative. That's you now, the one they can't predict, can't categorize, can't dismiss. Your aura is no longer something you build, it's something you inhabit. Never chase applause. Let your silence do the talking. Let your presence raise the temperature in every room. Let your calm make the loud uneasy. When they try to figure you out, stay unreadable. When they try to test you, stay still. When they try to compare themselves to you, Remind them, you have no equals. Because in the end, respect isn't about being liked. It's about being felt. It's about walking through life like your very existence is a standard others must rise to meet. And the moment you stop proving and start embodying, you cross the line between man and myth. So from now on, move like consequence. Speak like certainty. Disappear like strategy. And when they finally understand who you are, it'll be too late to ignore you. You are no longer trying to earn respect. You have become it. The embodiment of composure, the master of silence, the architect of gravity, unseen, untouched, unforgettable. This is the Machiavellian truth. The world doesn't follow noise, it follows weight. And now, you are that weight. If this spoke to the part of you that refuses to stay ordinary, if you're done being ignored, if you're ready to build the kind of presence that commands rooms without a word, then remember, respect is not a gift. It's an atmosphere. Build yours. Stay sharp, stay rare, stay dangerous. And if you want more brutal, unfiltered lessons like this, to sharpen your mind, harden your aura, and dominate the psychological game of power, then don't just watch, subscribe. Because the ones who understand what you just heard aren't the ones being led. They're the ones writing the rules.